What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Now, I missed this short article a few days ago and I have not seen any other videos pointing it out, but I feel it is something the government should be at least looking into if they are not already. If what this professor claims in his article is true, then the Letwin amendment should be scrapped instantly and it's Boris deal or no deal on October the 31st. The Telegraph ran this article on Saturday, written by a professor of government at King's College London named Vernon Bogdanor. This article went live shortly after the Letwin Reckon amendment passed, so was likely lost in the sea of articles relating to the Ramona's latest ploy to delay Brexit. As all of you know, this amendment was of course allowed to progress by John Bercow, who once again spat in the face of precedent by waiving Standing Order number 14, which gives government business priority and is of course vital when conducting international negotiations like Boris's with the EU. But being a Ramona parliament with a heavily biased speaker, they decided to ignore the way things are done when dealing with foreign nations and treaties such as this withdrawal agreement, by allowing Remain supporting MPs to force an extension to Article 50 against the government's will, which will also cost the UK taxpayer £3 billion at least, by the looks of it, as reports out this morning say that the EU is willing to give us a 3-month extension, as per Parliament's request. So essentially taking the decisions government should be making and spending public money without the right or mandate to do so, which is astonishing that this has even been allowed to happen, since the law states only the government can authorise the spending of public money, not backbench MPs from either side of the House. But it does go back to what I have said recently about the possibility that a second referendum amendment could pass through the House of Commons attached to the Boris bill, and this Ramona Parliament passing some new law or device to force the government to pay for said referendum, because as it stands, only the government can pay for it, which could change if Parliament finds a way to do it, and believe me, I expect they're trying if they haven't already looked into it and found out it can't be done. I'm not 100% sure whether it could be, but anything is possible with this Parliament. Now, this expert is claiming that because the Letwin Amendment forces the government to spend money on an extension, and of course the fact that they are interfering in international negotiations, it might be unconstitutional. Personally, I think it's more than unconstitutional, but let's see what this professor has to say in this Telegraph article. The headline's "The Letwin Amendment is Unconstitutional" by Vernon Bogdanor. The Letwin Amendment is just the latest procedural move by MPs claiming to respect the outcome of the referendum, who are, in reality, as Frank Field told the Commons, Remainers in Brexiteers' clothing. I would agree with that. The amendment withholds parliamentary approval for the deal until the legislation needed to implement it has been passed by the Commons. It triggers the provision in the Benn Act requiring Boris Johnson to seek an extension to Brexit beyond the 31st of October. Therefore interfering in Boris's New Deal negotiations, and it's passing through the House obviously. What could further delay achieve? The EU, having spent 2.5 years negotiating 2 deals with Britain, is hardly likely to renegotiate again, but delay would reopen the possibility of a second referendum or an election in which the Remain parties, which now almost certainly include Labour, could hope to reverse the 2016 referendum result, which is exactly what all of the Remainer parties want to do. So Oliver Letwin has form in these matters. In April, he and Labour's Yvette Cooper secured an act requiring a postponement of the Brexit date in the absence of a deal. The Benn Act is also in that tradition. The Letwin Amendment, like the Benn Act, is a procedural device through which Parliament seeks to take control from the government, something which induces warm feelings in all of us. Yeah, it really don't. Yet it is, in my view, unconstitutional. One way of putting it. I would consider things like that to be collaboration against the UK, but unconstitutional we will go with. Standing Order number 14 of the Commons, which the Speaker agreed to waive, was introduced in the early 1940s. It gives priority to government business. That is of particular importance for international negotiations. For MPs cannot themselves negotiate, nor can the EU negotiate with MPs, but only with the government of the day. Treaties, therefore, have always been negotiated by the government, and the Commons has not refused to ratify a treaty since 1864. It just goes to show that this Parliament doesn't care about being constitutionally correct, they just care about staying in the EU. Further, any extension of the Brexit date has public spending implications in terms of budgetary contributions to the EU, around £1 billion a month, as we all know. But Standing Order number 48, dating in part from 1713, provides that only the Crown, which of course means for practical purposes the government of the day, can recommend public spending. The reason is obvious. Only ministers, not backbench MPs, can be responsible to the Commons for the expenditure of public money. And by extension of responsible to the Commons, responsible to the people. Because it's our money they're spending, remember guys. If MPs disagree with the flagship policy of the government, instead of hiding behind procedural devices, is to replace the government, either through a vote of no confidence or a general election. But Labour MPs refuse to support either, of course, since they are united only by the belief that Jeremy Corbyn is unfit to become Prime Minister, which the whole country is united in the belief that he is unfit to even be the Labour leader, let alone Prime Minister. But while he's unfit to be the Labour leader, he can carry on doing so. No one minds that. Survey evidence shows that 41% want the deal passed, 24% do not. MPs are failing to understand the rising tide of public anger at Parliament's refusal to resolve Brexit over 3 years after the referendum. That's because they live in a Westminster bubble and they have no idea what people actually think. Like to ask the working man or the average everyday woman what they want and what they expect. They don't do that because they know it will go against their agenda. Ramonas only see and hear what they want at the end of the day. The article finishes up, "Smile at us," Chesterton writes in his poem, "The Secret People. Pay us, pass us, but do not quite forget. For we are the people of England that never have spoken yet. But the people of Britain did speak in June 2016. Is it not time for Parliament to acknowledge that? Yes, it is." And finishes up, Vernon Bogda is a Professor of Government at King's College, London. His book, Beyond Brexit Towards a British Constitution, was published earlier this year. So there you have it, guys. This constitutional expert from King's College, London, is calling out the Letwin Amendment for being completely unconstitutional, since, as I said at the beginning of the video, it's forcing the government to spend public money that it didn't want to spend, essentially allowing backbench MPs to spend taxpayers' money. This is incredible. How this has not been pulled up by any of the major media is beyond me. And I'm kind of annoyed that I actually missed it, because this is an extremely important story at the end of the day. Ramona MPs are taking control of negotiations. Even if we don't agree with the deal, they're still taking control of it, and they're going to add amendments like a second referendum, customs union, and who knows what else. So this is actually really quite a troubling situation, and I warned about it with the second referendum. If they're forcing the government to spend $1 billion a month, they might find a device that allows them to force the government to pay for a referendum, guys. So we need to be prepared for that, definitely. But I'm going to end the video there. It was only supposed to be a short video to bring you this quick article that is actually a couple of days old. I want to thank the channel's PayPal, Patreon and Subscribe Star members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Links to all my social media will be down below in the description. Of course, don't forget to let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
Owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.
Parliament is a dead parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. This Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.